Romanian is a Romance language spoken mainly in Romania and Moldova, as well as in some parts of Hungary, Serbia, Bulgaria and Ukraine. It is very useful to know the language if traveling in Romania and especially Moldova, particularly in rural areas. Romanian may or may not be difficult for speakers of other languages. It is very similar to Italian and to a similar extent other Romance languages: French, Spanish, Portuguese, Catalan. So speakers of these languages are more at an advantage. Note that in Romanian there is a formal and informal form when addressing people. The informal is
tu,
you singular or
voi,
you plural, and the formal is
dumneavoastră,
one form for singular and plural. There is also a formal way of speaking about other people, not just when addressing them. When referring to she, use
dumneaei,
for he, use
dumnealui,
and for them, use.
dumnealor.
Note that the formal form should be used with the plural form of the verb at the appropriate person. This is similar to the construction in most other Romance languages, and to an extent German, although Germans usually make less use of the informal forms. Use
Tu,
when addressing friends or people you know well. When addressing strangers or speaking about strangers, use the formal forms. Romanian should not be confused with Romani or Romany, which is the language of the European Gypsies or Roma. The similarity is coincidental. The English word for the European Gypsy stems an Indian Sanskrit root. The name Romania or Rumania and its derivatives come from the Latin word Romanus and are etymologically related to Rome, the capital city of the Roman Empire and now the capital city of Italy. In the past, Romania had a sizable German minority population, although nowadays the number of native German speakers is dwindling. However, the German language is still widely studied in Romania as a foreign language, and due to the residual German cultural influence, it is used as a second or third official language in many parts of Transylvania. Romanian tends to be easy for speakers of Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and Catalan to learn, since all three languages share a common root and influences, and are all written as they are pronounced. Romanian is sometimes challenging because of the influx of loan words, mostly Slavic words, as well as a few Hungarian, German, and Turkish ones, even though most of these have fallen out of use for a very long time. Neologisms have been imported in mass from French, Italian, German, and recently English. The language uses the Latin alphabet, and the Latinate roots can help tourists to understand some signs, such as
alimentara,
a place where you can buy elements or food,
farmacie,
pharmacy or drugstore, and
poliție.
police. Some signs, however, are false cognates or false friends. For example,
librărie
means a bookstore rather than a lending library, and it does it in French.
teatru
Means a stage theater rather than a cinema, as in British English, and so on. Although if you have a decent conversation guide, you can avoid such funny confusions. Coincidentally, these false friends also apply in all its sister languages. Even though there are few words of Russian origin, and contrary to what some might think, Romanian being a Romance language is very far from Russian. A Romanian, without any prior knowledge of Russian, will not be able to understand any Russian sentence. This is not to be confused with the people living in the Republic of Moldova that speak, most of them, both Romanian and Russian, which is due to historical reasons. The most notable word apparently inherited from Russian is
da,
which means yes, but this is in fact a coincidence with
da,
in Romanian having a Latin origin. The Romanian language is generally seen as a language with somewhat complicated grammar, but far simpler for speakers of Germanic languages than any of its Slavic neighbors, or even Hungarian. Romanian is a phonetic language, so a person can look at a word and know how it is pronounced. Romanian is abundant in vowels, and it can have series of diphthongs and even triphthongs that gives the language a melodious sound and makes it very musical. A foreigner trying to learn or speak Romanian can expect mostly positive reactions from native speakers. Most Romanian people will certainly love you for it and will strongly appreciate the fact that you are making an effort to speak their language. Others, however, may sneer at you for not properly being able to speak what they see as a very easy phonetic language. The Romanian alphabet is nearly exactly the same as the English alphabet, except for 5 additional accented letters, or diacriticals.
sh, c, u.
English has effectively become a requirement for getting a somewhat better job, and it is usually the second most popular non-Romance language spoken, on par with German. Consequently, it is usually good to ask before starting to speak English, but more often than not, it will be safe to go ahead. Other Romanian languages, especially French, Spanish, and Italian, are also learned by most people in schools, and are therefore spoken with a pretty good level of fluency by many people. But make sure you ask before you start speaking to people in foreign tongues. In general, Romanians prefer speaking other Romance languages than the others. Globalization and the fact that Romania joined the Latin Union, a linguistic association created in 1954, has made these closely related languages more attractive.